Are we live? All right, let me just confirm everything's good. Hi, Fudge. All right. Very nice, very nice. So, my name is Gersh, and today I will be breaking down my latest track, which released yesterday, pretty much. It's gonna be the concept, the overall creation, going into production, my tips and techniques, mixing and mastering, and a whole bunch of other stuff, including album artwork and future vision for music videos and what else I can do with this song. I'm not sure, but either way, it's a very cinematic and epic song, and yeah, I mean, we're gonna get straight into it. If you have any questions, just leave them in the chat as I go along through this, and let me know whatever you think. So, to start off, this track is about, so it's saying 79 tracks total, but when condensed, it's more likely to be around 60. A lot of the doubles are here, a lot of individual little tracks, and there's a simplicity to it that I really am fond of. But what really got this track started was a sample that I created. And this was part of a song I had previously used. Well, I used it in a song previously, never actually finished the song. And I was just going through my samples one day after trying to make a song, and it just, you know, kind of really stuck out to me. So I went ahead and said, you know what, I'm gonna turn this into a song. So let me one sec, let me try to change the bit rate here. Huh. It's not letting me. Well, if I can fix this, it would be nice. No. Not sure how to change my bitrate, but that's fine. If you happen to watch this and know how to change the bitrate of a live stream, just let me know. Well, I'm just gonna get back to it. So I started with this, where is it? With this as a starting point. So yeah, that's fun. So there's obviously issues with that. I went ahead and kind of mixed it in my own particular way. And let's just show the screen. There's more to it. I'll get into that later. There were other samples that I took from that song and put into this song. But let's find... See, the problem is I have so many different tracks here. But yeah. So I got the sample and put it under stretch mode. And if you can see here, Stretch Pro is on one of the features that I find really cool with the new FL Studio update. You can change it to Stretch Pro and then formants shift it, so that makes it higher in pitch but not in a different key. So this is how it turned out, and I'm not going to use effects on it because that would be beside the point here. Hold on one sec. I thought I was going to play it. That did not. Oh, you know what? That's just because of the location here, so. That's with effects and without effects. I'm gonna resize the screen here. So yeah, that's it without effects, and then with effects. So yeah, basically I started with Fruity Blood Overdrive. Boom, right there. Add a little bit of preamp, a little bit of color. Nothing crazy. When it came to the lead, I did want to cut out some of the high frequencies. They're a bit just rough on the ears. Also some of the lows, you know, a little bit of a high pass filter. Saturn 2, I just went in and added one. That's a clean tube, actually 2 clean tubes, but for the higher frequencies, I boosted it up, especially in the highs. I just thought that the sharpness that the Fab filter Saturn brought to it was better than the original frequencies. Pro C, that was pretty cool. I just, you know, did a normal compression, and I used a preset called a bit of control. Sometimes I just flip through the presets and find something I like. Soothe 2, one of my favorite plugins as of right now. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it just tames the harshest frequencies in the mix, and it just kind of has a magic algorithm on what sounds good and what sounds bad. I don't know how it works. Fresh Air brings out the highs, like a high airiness to it. Another EQ because I just had to work with a couple extra frequencies. And if you need me to slow down and out with these explanations, just let me know. But I'm just gonna, you know, keep going along because there's so much to the song. But that is the main part. That is the driving force behind this song. So the next part of the song that really kind of helped bring it together at first, but then became less of an integral part, was the other leads, or that's not a lead, it's a pad really. Yeah, so that's pretty much the bass that you hear leading up into the drop, and here it is with effects. It's very quiet. Wait for it. I'm going to take out that lead right there, so you just hear the bass, how it kind of fades in, or it's actually fading out. Cool. And that was one of my favorite parts of the song, how I was able to tie that bass back into the song, because that was an original part of the song. It was called Greedo. The song used to be called Greedo, and then I had this other sound here called Greedo Pluck. It's just like Kanye right there. That's about as Kanye as it gets. So heartless. But yeah, that's like a very subtle background sound in the song now. With effects and volume automation, it starts to come in during the same part almost as the pads. But with everything playing at once that we have gone over so far, it's more of just a hidden layer. Oh, I guess now we can go into this part since it decided to expose itself. A base, serum base that I created. Very, very simple. It's just a sol wave down 2 octaves, another sol wave down 1 octave, but with detuned, and it's detuned at 6 voices. Add a sub down 2 octaves. Pretty simple envelope, just a pluck sound, like fades out with that within a second. Distortion, gotta have distortion, especially tube. For some reason, tube distortion seems to bring out the crunch in the sounds. And I just EQ'd down the highs of it a little bit. And then from there, I went in and, I just changed the frequencies a little bit, balanced them out, took out some I didn't like, added a little bit in the 100 hertz, 120 hertz region, and then decapitator. Classic. Just classic for me getting that harsh, gritty bass. That's without. Now it does increase the volume, although that is kind of an effect I do like to go for. Some people do clip state or clip gain, which means you bring the volume down as you add the effects, so it kind of creates a more level approach to mixing. I don't do that. It just, for me, I don't know why I don't do it. Maybe I should. But yeah, with the 2 kind of leads going on in the bass, it sounds like this. And then you can hear how those flute things sound with the bass. It sounds pretty cool. So yeah, altogether that really created a big structure in the sound. And there's also one other thing that I included and I think would be pretty important to tell. One of my one day I was on Instagram and I saw this like Fin micro type deal. It was a free plugin. I was like, I cannot just pass up on a free plugin like this. It kind of looked unique, you know. A lot of those one knob plugins have become more popular recently, and this one is especially cool. Well, let me try to like take this. Sorry, I'm gonna like take this mixer channel out of the way. Yeah, normally I just bring it over here. I guess I'll do that. So yeah, and then what Finisher Micro does is it creates like an infinite type sound to it, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, leave a comment if you've ever heard of it. But what really it does is just creates like a really, really high pitched ethereal effect over top of the sound that you originally feed into it. So I can kind of show you here. So yeah, with the Fin Micro, it's just being fed in, no joke, it's being fed in the same sound as the lead, like this. And then that sound just kind of, isn't that cool? The magic of it is really just this knob turned up all the way. It creates this sound. Oh, shit. So that was with side chaining. This is without. And then with side chaining, yeah, that's, you know, I just like to add in layers that go on top of layers, and you know, sometimes it might sound over the top on its own, but in the full context of the song, it really stands by itself, kind of. And you can imagine the layers in front of one another suddenly, like, they kind of merge into each other in like parts and pieces, like a puzzle almost. So yeah, that's, you know, that's kind of the skeleton of the track. That's where I really got my start for it. So next is going into drum design. A basic 4-on-the-4 kick drum from the Unwave Deep House sample pack. I basically just EQ'd the kick drum like this, took out the lows. Something at 753 hertz was bothering me. Yeah, and then Pro C, basic punch. Of course, it's sort of creating a compression between, you know, 70 hertz to like the 2K range, 3K. And here's without, and here's without. Just added like a little bit of grittiness, like a lower thump to the sound. I feel like it's very, very inaudible. I'm sure most people wouldn't even notice, but that's, you know, how my brain works, I guess. So on top of just that kick drum, I couldn't just leave it that way. I felt something was missing. So I then went ahead and just like looked at, I got a splice. I got my splice account back, and I started looking into different types of drums. The Cashmere pack is good with like the cinematic orchestral drums. So throughout the build up, I start adding in things like that. And then EQ, this automation clip that I have here is actually fading out. It's fading out the bass frequencies in the first part, so it doesn't change, but towards the end of it, the EQ is no longer active. Another great loop from Cashmere. This one, very cinematic sounding, very energetic, really gets the heart racing. So throughout the drop, there are these drums, and I'll just play them out for you first so you can kind of get an idea of how it sounds. And then I will kind of break that down a little bit more. Oh, okay. So here's one war drum. Pan slightly to the right. And then later on top of this one, sounds pretty bad if you ask me on its own, but then you layer the two and that's where the magic happens. Then there's another one, that right there. That one's just kind of crazy, so I really chopped it up because this is what it really sounded like first. That's like a Mortal Kombat, I don't even know. But yeah, so that chopped up along with this one. Very simple. Yeah. And then for the second half of the drop, I bring back those Cashmere war drum loops. Oh, and then there's this one too, the one I was... Whoa. Yeah, that one just has a crazy kind of reverb on it, so it does sound kind of insane. But in context of the song, that's pretty much what I have going on for all of it. There might be something else. Yeah, so there's also this. And then I took that, put it into output portal. And this is the result. So yeah, that was pretty crazy. It took a lot of processing to get to that result. Kind of like an Illangelo type effect, I guess. Shout out Illangelo. I mean, he's just a master when it comes to layering and doing all sorts of different things. There's also this little brass hit. Keep in mind, this is all happening during the drop, so if I put that together... And last but not least, maybe least, this war chant. Like, ho! So, you put all of that together, and this is basically what you'll get. Let me fix that. Here we go. What else do I need to fix? Something's not playing. Okay. Here we go.
I don't know which path.
So you can hear in the second part of the drop I do have some more drums that kick in, nothing too crazy. That clap is it's routed into the reverb channel that I created, which consists of Valhalla Room and an EQ that EQs it before it goes into the reverb channel, making it sound just more unique and having a bit more of a condensed feel to it. So since I just got through the drop, we can then get into other parts of the song, and I'd like to start with the lead guitar, which was this is honestly my favorite part of the song. Started with this a Nexus lead guitar pattern that I just put onto MIDI. So yeah, that's routed into the mixer, going to the left a bit. And then I'll show you the actual recorded guitar layer that I put on top of that. So yeah, both on their own, not too special. The guitar I had to record about 2 or 3 notes at a time because it was just such a fast riff. I'm not like an expert guitarist, so I still really wanted to capture the essence of a real guitar, but also knew what I was working with. So I then combined the two. And so I combined them, but also added a cutoff frequency. So when it came to how it sounded like without the cutoff, and here's with. So yeah, I thought that'd be a nice way to kind of break into the song a bit. Still, I really like how it sounds without the filter. So clean, just so beautiful. Has like that perfect rhythm, danceability, also like a melancholy kind of feel a little bit to me. Maybe not to others, but that itself was just pretty cool. So we'll then get into the vocal recordings. So I started with just a kind of idea in my head of where this story kind of takes place and how it relates to my everyday life. And what really I wanted to capture was the essence of being lost in life, not kind of having a set direction or confidence of which way you're going. And that's just kind of how a lot of people are, that's a problem a lot of people are dealing with, and not knowing like what the future will hold. Also just an overwhelmingness of life, what's next. It could be scary, it could be beautiful. We'll find out. So I then went ahead and recorded this I used my CAD Audio M179 microphone. Right now I'm using my Neumann TLM 103, if anybody's wondering. But for this recording, I wanted to change it up and find like this microphone. I went to my stash pile and I figured it would sound pretty good on the song. So that's a tracking. Hold on. That was a backing track. This is the actual track here.
Lost souls living in denial, somewhere floating down the Nile. Around the corner, been gone for a while. Try everything to stay afloat. Try to breathe, but always choke.
So that itself, just I spent some time really trying to get my voice on there as well as I could without the level of processing that I would say normally do. But I've been getting a lot better at singing recently, and this is just something that I've grown pretty used to. Just feeling comfortable on the mic and getting that confident sound. But as always, there's gonna be effects needed. Here's the raw vocal.
Lost souls living in denial.
And we can turn off the delay and reverb here.
Lost souls living in denial. Somewhere floating down the Nile. Around the corner, been gone for a while. For a while.
So that's to the haters who think that I use way too much autotune. Sometimes I like to use autotune very heavily. It's just a stylistic choice. But for this song, I decided not to. I actually ended up using a slightly considerable amount, 70% at 18 speed in milliseconds, and like a negative 74% change speed. So it could actually vary in the retune speed. C sharp major is the key, more like A sharp minor, but either way, that's how I changed my settings to get to fit my voice. And going into it, I used the EQ, I used the Pro C compressor. Threshold is, pretty low with a decent ratio of 2.13. Low attack. I honestly, I'm not a fan of high attacks, and release about 200. Going into an EQ, which has a low cutoff and just some various adjustments. I had a multi-band compressor, but I just turned it off. That's actually my recent strategy has been using that multi-band compressor, but I don't know, I didn't feel it on this one. Anyways, a very slight reverb, like a 0.1 second reverb, just adds like the tiniest amount of width to my voice. De-esser. Gross beat. This is like a tremolo effect. Now, it's just something I stylistically wanted to hear my voice throughout the playing of the song. So you can see at the bottom here, this is the basically effects routing. So like it would be down, I turned a knob, turn it up during like a certain point where I want to hear that tremolo inflection in my voice. And it's just in volume, but you see it go up and down. That's happening during these peaks that I created. Did that through automation. And then towards the part here, I really started to get into it.
Stay afloat. Try to breathe, but always choke. Today might be the day to find a shore.
So yeah, that's kind of one cool thing I did. Not super noticeable. I didn't want it to be, but it's just something more felt than actually heard. With vocal effects, let's see, that's going to the delay. So whenever I turn it up, more delay goes through the mix.
A while.
Like you hear that versus
Lost souls living in denial. Somewhere floating down the Nile. Around the corner, been gone for a while. For a while. Try everything.
So yeah, I have multiple layers that are controlling various outputs and parameters of the song. Something I would like to do more, but I don't normally spend this long on a track. I do think it creates a lot of interesting variation and keeps the song just fresh. Every time you listen to it, you hear like a new part of it. It's kind of the fun part of the creation. Now getting into the backing tracks, which I accidentally previewed to earlier, I don't think I spent a lot of time trying to make them sound perfect because they're very quiet. But I added a auto tune to the entirety of the 4 layers. Shouldn't have done that, but I did anyways. This is without.
Lost souls living in the Nile, somewhere floating down the Nile. Around the corner, been gone for a while.
Yikes. Well, no, that's not too bad, but yeah, that's how it goes, you know. I'm sure any musician watching this would be like, yeah, that's typically what it sounds like. Unless it's like an actual double layer, which this was just a slight background, like to add some essence to the words. Now, when I put it through the mix, cut out more frequencies than the main one, I added a meadow tune. Very auto-tuned. Well, not very, but you know, that's about as much as I'd like to put it without it sounding too unnatural. Although it's in the background, so it's not going to be anything crazy. And then I put on the multi-band compressor. Turned down the gain of the low band. And basically just kind of left it as is, I think. So this is kind of how it turns out right here.
Lost souls living in the Nile, somewhere floating down the Nile. Around the corner, been gone for a while.
So yeah, you can kind of hear the rough cuts there, the rough edges that needed to be polished off. It is what it is. Just, you know, that's just how I did it. Let's see if we got any messages I can answer. So yeah, so with that plus the main vocal, you'll get a result that sounds like this.
Lost souls living in the Nile, somewhere floating down the Nile. Around the corner, been gone for a while. Try everything to stay afloat. Try to breathe but always choke. Today might be the day to find the shore.
You hear that right there. That wasn't part of the effects that I described. This is going to a channel called vocal distortion, and within it I have a decapitator just pounding on it. It's on the punish mode. And then I went through that and created just a crazy type of Saturn distortion effect. Just, you know, British rock amp for each layer, but as it gets higher in frequency, I turn it lower so it doesn't bleed your eardrums. And the way it sounds is just probably how it's supposed to, I guess. But I added a soothe anyways to kind of just cool it down a bit, especially in the mid frequencies was just ringing in the ears. So had to do what you had to do. And the way this effect sounded was this. So yeah, just that part there, and then towards the build up, it kicks back in. You heard part of the reverb pop through there. But yeah, then so we got that, and then there's a vocoder effect that really captures like a crazy essence to it.
but I'm pulled apart in this endless tidal wave. Not sure if I will make it another day. If I die, please remember my name. But I'm pulled apart in this endless tidal wave. Not sure if I will make it another day. If I die, please remember.
So yeah, what I did there was I had a Nexus channel. Used one of the Cashmere presets actually, living room piano, bright. And I just went in and created this. I mean, let me figure out how to make this pattern actually play through. Just kind of does that, along with a serum channel. Together, it sounds like this. And where the magic really comes in is vocodex. It's just routed. I didn't mess with the settings. I actually have never just left the setting like blank like that before, but it came out with such a nice sound that I figured all it needed was a little bit of tweaking. So I used a compressor and just kind of crushed down some of it so it didn't like pop out in the track much at all.
I'm pulled apart in this endless tidal wave. Not sure if I will make it another day. If I die, please remember my name. My name.
And where that crazy kind of build-up effect actually comes from the vocoder, I think. No, the chorus rate within Serum. So what's... Yeah, within Serum, the preset I made had a chorus. And I realized if you affect the rate of the chorus over time, it creates that insane sound, so... Go crazy with that, you know? So yeah. So that sound actually, I have it end up bleeding through the mix on its own, just because of how cool it sounded. But yeah, that was basically the vocals and that vocoder build-up. So I'm just gonna start to play through and then point out anything else that I notice. Ask any questions if you're listening. You know, I'm all here for you and for your entertainment.
Lost souls living in denial, somewhere floating down the Nile. Around the corner, been gone for a while. Try every...
So that one sound that kind of popped into is part of that same deep house sample pack that I use for the kick, and it's just this. Thought that would be cool. And it kind of just pops in towards the build up there. So yeah, there's that as a cool, like, kind of subtle background effect. In context of the song, this is what it sounds like.
Today might be the day to find the shore. Find the shore. But I'm pulled apart in this endless tidal wave. Not sure if I will make it another day. If I die, please remember my name. My name. I don't know which path I'm going to take. Dunk me in the cold water and freeze my brain. I swim up the stream, go against the grain like every day. I will make it out alive this time, I feel it.
I don't know if you can see, but my dog here, he's just sitting here. If I stop petting him, he gets mad. Watch. Look at him. Buddy. You good? You good? Fudgy. What's the problem, huh? What's up? What's up? Alright, I'm gonna end up wrapping this up very soon, but I'd like to go over a couple more things. The guitar part. Let's find this guitar. I recorded this all within like 10 minutes. Like I say, I don't play guitar. You can see the amount of cuts and chops I had to make to get it on time. That's a cool part there. That's just the layers just building up, and each one is in the same channel, going into some reverb. Let me see. I can tell you exactly what. Oh, EFX Refract, one of the coolest plugins ever. It's a unison effect. It's not like a typical chorus, but it creates voices, and you can then expand them with the pitch and stuff. Here's without. It's actually kind of crazy how much of a difference it makes. And here's with. So get EFX Refract. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. It is phenomenal. I use it on my voice sometimes. I use it on leads, pads, whatever you name it. So yeah, I got all of that going through that same channel, and then there's also this. Pretty cool for a lead up. I love doing that kind of strumming on a guitar. And like with everything, I go and add just little Easter eggs like this deep voice. And then for the last part of the vocal build up.
I feel make it out alive this time, I feel it.
Kind of treat my voice like a guitar in a sort of way. Let's add in the vocoder.
I will make it out alive this time, I feel it. I will make it out alive this time, I feel it.
And with everything there, plus a riser,
I will make it out alive this time, I feel it.
so yeah, and then there's the kind of a war sounding horn, the brass knuckles preset on Anna. Here's without the effects I added. Here I was a bit too harsh on the ears maybe. So I go and, I cut out the notch frequency there, take out some of the lows. I go and add a soothe, which does the bulk of the work. It's cranked up to the max basically. And a multiband compression with the gain turned down on it a little bit. Also with Nexus, I added in this flute-like effect. It's like more like a synth string, but more of an orchestra. A very high note. I liked it a lot, so I went and consolidated it into a track here. And that's just doing kind of its own fade out there, which is good for adding like a tension / release, because at the end I added it back into the very end of the track as more of a fade in. Same with some of the original like crazy vocal chops that I introduced during the drop. So the drop just repeats itself basically, just a few more orchestral elements, but the end is like kind of where I tie the original melody back in. Those vocal kind of stuttering types effects is just so nice how it just ties it all together. So lush sounding, I'd say, is how to describe it, and that to me just like sticks out every time I listen to it. It makes me want to come back and listen to it again almost. So yeah, I believe that was from Splice. Well, no, that was not. That part wasn't from Splice. What was from Splice? So that, like I said, I actually ended up transforming that into what you now hear from as this. It was kind of just like a off the wall Portal. I used Portal, and then I reversed it with Gross Beat as a side chain. I can't show you right now because I don't know where that channel went. It's all consolidated at this point, meaning I don't have access to the actual controls that I use for it. It was too Portal's just too CPU intensive to even want to continue like showing the ooh, if I kept it on there, my project would be maxed out in CPU. So maybe one day I'll get like a Threadripper, but until then. So yeah, that was fun. That was a very fun track. I had a really good time making it. So when it came to the album cover, nope, do not save. I thought that like a nice picture of me like floating in the water would be kind of a cool idea. So I went ahead, asked ChatGPT, basically like, hey, make a picture of like the elements I give in terms of my like, my character, and put him underwater. After many failed attempts, I finally got something like this, which was close enough, right? But I went ahead onto Photoshop, and I'll show you here. I went on Photoshop. I then took a photo of my face and actually went in and changed my face out onto the photo, because I like to just have that little like familiarity look to it. Let's open up the project where I kind of got that. You can see here at the top corner it says Lost Soul. I actually wrote down I wrote down on a piece of paper Lost Soul, and then I inputted it into Photoshop, stretched it out a little, added soft light filter to it, and that was kind of exciting. As you can see there, that's my face. Believe it or not, that's me. I tried. I don't know if you caught that, but I did move the arm back a bit. It was originally like right here. I was able to highlight it, move it over, and then erase the area that it was at. I also took the photo because the framing was a bit weird. It was like real close up. I zoomed myself out, and then I added, using the Photoshop's generative AI feature, which is still like one of the coolest features ever. I was able to add in like part of the bottom here, areas around the outside, and then I went in and added some filtering. So I'm gonna go and kind of take it all out, and then kind of see for yourself the processes that I went through. So one was like a color grading, just deepened the color. One brought it back up. This one just affected the hue and saturation in a way. It just kind of darkened like the darker tones. And this one just even exaggerated that because it's exposure effect. Lost Soul brought in. I brought in again to enhance it a little more so it's easier to read. I don't know if you can see it, but that's like a smoke-like effect. This is it up all the way. That's it, like 10%. I then created a layer that basically overlays the Lost Soul with a soft light filtering, so that kind of just darkens everything around it. I brought in a noisy background. I thought that'd be cool. Here's what it looks like all the way up. It's also soft light, but at 34%, it looked pretty nice. But then I had to go and adjust it back to where I thought it originally was, with the simple brightness and contrast. Nothing too crazy. And that's sort of the outline process. You can see a bit of static going around my hands, like right here, around my arms, I guess, and my feet. I thought those looked kind of like air bubbles in a way, so I left them in. It was when I highlighted the whole subject of my body. This is a consolidated version. Unfortunately, I can't go into the actual detail, but I think what I did was I used the grain, or I used dissolve for that layer, because I made a glow layer around the frame of my body, and then using that glow layer, I copied and pasted it over top the real one, and then I clicked the dissolve button, and that's what created that like grainy bubble. I was gonna say bubular type effect. That's where my brain's at right now. So anyways, yeah, that's like how I was able to do that. Let me see. And then I created this. That's like the thumbnail for this video. Trippy, I know, right? But what I had to do was add in these generative fills to like sort of fill out the rest of this image here, because I wanted it to look like that, but then, you know, that was a fail right there. Finally got sort of something I wanted, and then I had to just get that last corner there. It just does it all automatically. It's actually pretty sweet. So yeah. I'm not gonna bore you with my font choices, but you know, if you clicked, then this is the reason why you clicked it, because I chose a font that is legible, it's interesting. Hopefully, you know, this is something that you were interested in. The song breakdown, sound design, album cover. I feel like I was able to cover all those scopes of the song, and you know, if you still have any questions, you know, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'll definitely help answer anything about the song. If you're looking for places to stream it, I can help you with that as well. If there's anything else I can, you know, just answer, like, can ask me how my day's going. I don't care. Let's just, you know, build a community. Let's keep the engagement going. So yeah, that's basically what I'll leave it down to. I will be sure to do this again sometime soon. I got new songs coming out every week. Every week I have a new track. It sure is exhausting, especially trying to keep up with work and, you know, having a full-time job. It's not super easy releasing a song every week, but I do it for you guys. You know, whoever's out there listening, my 70 monthly listeners will are sure as hell happy to listen. So let's keep it growing. Let's just go up from here, and yeah, I mean, that's basically what it'll go down to. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, you guys have heard me yap for long enough. Hopefully you got some nugget of information that was useful to you, interesting, or even just sparked a bit of creativity in your mind. Because I'm, you know, that's my goal here, just to inspire others and see what else we can do with the community and build up from here. All right, so you guys have a good rest of your day. I'm gonna have my weekend now and take the dogs out.